My name is Górecka, and I'm a compliance lawyer based in Zurich. I have been working and living in Switzerland for the last 8 years. I will present a brief summary of available legal structures and guide you through a process of how to set up a company in Switzerland. Considering a rather low number of Swiss regulation, it is a fairly simple process. I keep my fingers crossed for your success on the Swiss market. Switzerland is a very attractive location for innovation and one of the most competitive business centers in the world. Therefore, a good business idea alone is not enough. Only with the right business strategy can you recognize the steps you need to take to succeed on the Swiss market. Market research is of vital importance. So before you start, find out if there is interest in buying your product or services. Check who your competitors are and whether the market can sustain your business. By gathering, analyzing, and evaluating market information, you will be able to formulate clear business goals and create a good business plan. Organization, procedure, and planning are key to success in Swiss business culture. The quality of the product or service is important, and price is another significant factor. Personal relationships also play a key part in business. Companies should not expect immediate results after entering Swiss market. You should be prepared to invest time and money in the market and can expect to wait some time before seeing a real return. It can take some considerable time to establish customers for your product. Be patient if you wish to succeed here and stay in contact with your representatives to ensure that they keep you up to date with developments and market conditions. In addition, trust is a very important part in doing business in Switzerland. Companies that want to be successful in Switzerland must win the trust of their future clients, partners, and suppliers. Another important consideration is the choice of legal structure. So you need to investigate each option carefully before deciding on the structure most suitable for your business. With a relatively low number of regulations, setting up a business is quite simple under Swiss law, and it can be a matter of few weeks once all the documents are ready. For foreigners wanting to start a business in Switzerland, one main factor is that you must also be a Swiss resident, or have a Swiss legal entity or partner who is a Swiss resident. Foreigners have the right to start a business in Switzerland, provided that they have a valid work permit. Switzerland has a dual system of granting work permits to foreign workers. Employees from the EU-EFTA area can benefit from the Agreement on the Free Movement of Persons. Permits for people from countries outside EU-EFTA area, so-called third states, are restricted to highly qualified workforce. According to the Agreement on the Free Movement of Persons, self-employed entrepreneurs can set up their business without a permanent residence permission, C permit. It is sufficient to have a B permit, which is valid 5 years. At registration in Switzerland, though, the planned self-employed activity needs to be proven. Proof can be provided, for example, with a valid VAT number, an entry into the professional register, the registration and the social insurance as self-employed entrepreneur, a business plan, accounting figures, or the entry in the commercial register. Only certain regulated sectors in the Confederation, medical, educational, social professions, or in the cantons, traffic, architecture, legal professions, etc., require special authorization. All business forms defined in the Swiss Code of Obligations are available to foreigners. The legal forms most commonly adopted are sole proprietorship, Einzelfirma, limited liability company, GmbH, and corporation, AG. Founding a sole proprietorship is easy and does not require any minimal capital. One-man business usually engage in trade, manufacturing, or commerce and have no legal personality. This legal structure is often chosen by young entrepreneurs wanting to establish a small business on their own. The individual willing to start a sole proprietorship must hold a Swiss permit, and this even if a domicile in Switzerland is not mandatory. There is no need to provide a minimum capital, and it is not necessary to submit notarized documents to create the company. If the turnover is less than 100,000 Swiss francs per year, the inscription to the commercial register and registration for VAT is not mandatory. Moreover, there are no legal audit or disclosure requirements. The main disadvantage of sole proprietorship are the unlimited liability of the owner and the limited possibility to raise capital. Regarding social insurances, the owner of the sole proprietorship conducts his business under a self-employed status. In order to obtain such status, the entrepreneur must register with the competent authorities. To sum up, if you're planning to start a sole proprietorship, you must hold or obtain valid permit, register to the competent authorities as a self-employed individual, register to the commercial register if the annual turnover is more than 100,000 Swiss francs, registered for VAT, also only if the annual turnover is more than 100,000 Swiss francs. A GmbH can be established and run by one shareholder as a minimum. This can mean natural persons as well as legal entities or trading companies. The foundation of a GmbH requires a relatively low minimum capital, 20,000 Swiss francs. The member's liability is limited to the amount of the registered capital, which must be fully paid in. This means that, in principle, the members of the GmbH cannot be held responsible for the company's debts and liabilities. The company may choose its name freely, but the addition GmbH is mandatory. Individuals or legal entities contributing to the capital of the company do not have shares, as in the corporation, but a capital contribution. An assignment of a capital contribution must be done in writing and requires the consent of the members' general meeting. The name, address, and place of origin of company members, together with the number and the nominal value of their capital contribution, must be entered in the commercial register. Except for large companies, the accounts must be reviewed by an auditor in a limited audit. However, companies having not more than 10 full-time employees on annual average may be dispensed from having their accounts audited. The company is established when the founder members declare by public deed that they are founding a limited liability company, lay down the articles of association, and appoint the management bodies. In order to be duly incorporated, the company must be registered in the commercial register at the place where it has its seat. It must be possible for the limited liability company to be represented by a person with an address in Switzerland. This may be a manager or a director. The main steps to establish a GmbH are the following. Prepare budget for startup and administration costs. Choose a business name and check whether it's available. Choose a domiciliation for the company. Open an escrow account to deposit the capital amount, minimum 20,000 Swiss francs. Choose the management bodies and the auditor, if necessary. Draft the incorporation documents, articles of association. Hold the incorporating meeting before a public notary, and file the documents to the commercial register. An AG, Aktiengesellschaft, can be established and run by one shareholder as a minimum. This can mean individuals as well as legal entities or trading companies. The foundation of a corporation requires a minimum capital of 100,000 Swiss francs, divided into registered or bearer shares. At least 50,000 Swiss francs must be paid in, or 20% per share, upon formation of the company. The company may choose its name freely, but the addition AG is mandatory. The law prescribes 3 governing bodies: the General Meeting of Shareholders, the Board of Directors, and the statutory auditors. Except for large companies, the accounts must be reviewed by an auditor in a limited audit. Companies having not more than 10 full-time employees on an annual average may be dispensed from having their accounts audited. The company is established when the founder members declare by public deed that they are founding a corporation, lay down the articles of association, and appoint the management bodies. In order to be duly incorporated, the company must be registered in the commercial register at the place where it has its seat. It must be possible for the company to be represented by a person with an address in Switzerland. This may be a member of the board of directors or a director. The main steps to establish an AG are the following. Prepare budget for startup and administration costs. Choose a business name and check whether it's available. Choose a domiciliation for the company. Open an escrow account to deposit the capital amount, minimum 50,000 Swiss francs. Choose the management bodies and the auditor, if necessary. Draft the incorporation documents, articles of association. Hold the incorporating meeting before a public notary. File the documents to the commercial register. I keep my fingers crossed for your success on the Swiss market.